Special guest in conversation. He's been here before. It's almost like second home for him, really. Last time he was in, we talked about food, which is just as well, because that is his business. We talked about Australian food. I only discovered recently, actually, that roast chicken... I always thought roast chicken was the most boring thing under the sun, but apparently it's one of his favourite things to cook. In his latest book, which is quite a few down the line, My Kind of Food, John Torode takes you back, not to television cooking, which we've seen before. That's stuff which is made for television. This is stuff he does when he's at home. This is away from that. So what he's doing, basically, is sharing his nana's recipes. Are you not?
I am, yeah.
You are, aren't you?
I am. And it's funny what you say about chicken. I think that chicken is... roasting a chicken... I think the reason I like it, I think it's really easy. And I think people forget that. I think what... I would love people to go back to enjoying food again and cooking. And actually all you do with the chicken is you season the outside of it with some salt and pepper. You put a little bit of water inside it so it steams from the inside. You put it in the oven for an hour, you don't touch it. Now in that hour, you can do whatever you like. You can go and have a glass of wine. You can go and buy yourself a bottle of wine. You can go walk your dog. You can go and have a shower. You know what I mean? But it just sits there. You don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to move a pan. You don't have to stir it. You just leave it. And if you do that, that's a great way to cook, isn't it? And if every kid in the world just learnt that you chucked a chicken in the oven for an hour, and that's all you had to do to cook yourself some food, you're fine. Because the rest of it, actually, if you want to, go to the local chippy. Buy yourself some chips, come back, you got chicken and chips. Go to local Indian, buy yourself some chana masala, you got chickpeas and you got chicken. That's it, you're done. Get yourself an iceberg lettuce, chop it up, bit of tomato, cucumber, chicken and salad. And honestly, I think that's how we should start to cook again.
But we should start going back to Tudor times where the food came on, it was swans and chickens, and you just ripped off hunks of flesh and ate them.
But we do that anyway, don't we? Do you not pull a chicken apart and munch on its drumstick? Fanar.
Sometimes. Don't want to go into it. The thing that I worry about now, and I'm sure everybody else does, is that I didn't realise that there were different grades of chicken. So if I go to Marks and Spencer's, they have their made-up Oakham chicken, which I think is from where they think it comes from, but it's just a name to make it sound better. So when it doesn't say Oakham chicken, I think, oh, I'm not getting the right sort of chicken. Because, you get chickens now which can be fattened up for the table in, it's a matter of days, I think.
I think the thing is you pay for what you get.
Yes.
So,
Well, where are you buying then? Where would you buy your chicken from?
Middle range. I'd buy middle range.
Right.
Yeah, I just buy a middle range chicken. I buy, a free range chicken. That's fine by me. Every so often I buy an organic one, but to be fair, I've got a big family and they're expensive things. But as long as you use it properly, and this is the one thing about my book is that if you're going to roast the chicken and then eat what you do, the next day, warm the chicken up in a roll with some butter. And have a chicken sandwich, or make a chicken pie out of it. My chicken pie. Do you know what I mean? I think you got to utilize your food again.
It's the versatile food. They said a short while ago that they were building a factory that could process something like 2 million chickens a week.
Well, we consume in the UK 900 million chickens a year. 900 million. Now, in 1950s, it was something like 2 chickens per head per year. And I don't want my maths is on that one, 900 million, but it's a lot more than 2 chickens a year.
Yes.
Chickens, it was one of those things. But it's not, my book's not just about chicken. My book's about all things, great and good. And from a bowl of spaghetti through to bolognese on toast. There is bolognese on toast with grated cheese on top of it in that book.
See, I don't see anything the matter with that. See, I love grated cheese on everything.
It's what's called a sloppy Joe. It's a really, really good thing. It's what it is. It's sloppy Joe. It's just, you got your bolognese, a bit of toast, some grated cheese on top. I can tell you now, the home echo and the stylist who worked with me doing the book, it disappeared. All 4 pieces disappeared by those 2 girls. They ate the whole lot.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, we shouldn't be surprised because, as I said before, these aren't television recipes. These are things that you would eat at home because your grandmother basically was like my mother. She cooked at home. People don't cook now. They go and buy ready meals. They go to the takeaways and they get the stuff and they stick there with a party barrel or whatever it is. But I think you embody what people can do. It can be fun. It can be dead easy. Putting a chicken in the oven is not complicated. You put vegetables around it. You can put, all sorts of things in there. You can just have a good old, just chuck in some winter vegetables, roughly sliced things, put it in there, all cooks at the same time. It's the one pot shop.
It is. One pot wonders are ace, are really, really ace. And there is a whole thing about, there's a rice dish I do where you just put all the rice and the chicken and the chorizo together in a pot. You put it in the oven, you leave it for 45 minutes and you take it out and it's done. We are busy people in busy lives, and I'm not saying everybody should stop having takeaways. Have takeaways. I eat them all the time. Oh God, yes, of course I do.
What do you eat?
I've got this amazing Indian called Madjo's in Finchley, and you go there and it's like this sort of supermarket of Indian food, and you walk in the door and there's big glass cabinets. One side's vegetarian, the other side's got meat in it, and it's all made there, and you buy it cold and you take it home, you heat it up. It's ace. It's fantastic. But it's, what I don't have the time to spend to make 5 Indian dishes, so I go and buy it. Of course I do, and then I'll probably take it home, and I might roast the chicken or roast the leg of lamb or whatever it might be, and serve stuff on the side. Look, the thing is, if you got friends coming around for dinner, right, and you're not a chef, why are you doing all that hard work when there's people out there who can do it for you?
Yeah. So I agree. I'm all in for the convenience, because I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Through choice. I don't want you to feel sorry for me or anything like that.
No, I just had a little tear.
I know. I thought conjunctivitis, but I didn't want to say anything. and so I do tend to go for convenience, because I think if you're cooking for yourself, to go through all the effort of cooking stuff, and then you think, then I've eaten it, and then you think I've got to wash it all up. So I've now dispensed with all of that. I do the one pot cooking. I just chuck it all in there. I use, throwaway plates. I've got really lazy. And then I don't have to do any washing up.
That's brilliant.
But
there's also the freezer. Make a big pot of something, put it in the freezer, and then when you want it, I've been at a stage of my life where I've lived alone, and I know what it's like. You make this food and you think, but if you make a big pot of stew or a big pot of bolognese, freeze it, and then you've got bags, and when you're busy, you take it out before you go to work. Yeah. It's ready to rock and roll. But my father said to me once, he said, John, just remember that a gentleman eats well even when alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely right. And when I do eat at home, I do set the table. I put down a knife and fork. I sit at a chair. I pour myself a glass of wine. I have a napkin, and I sit properly and I eat my food. And I think that's really important. And that because I've spent the time cooking it, why shouldn't I spend the time to enjoy eating it? And I think that a lot of time I think parents especially, what we do is we cook for everybody else, but we don't actually enjoy it ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's really sad.
I used to worry that my mother used to spend hours in the kitchen, and we would wolf this food down in a matter of seconds. She'd go slower. And you go, but it's really nice because my mum cooked.
Yeah.
And she enjoyed cooking, and she was very good at cooking. Didn't do takeaways, because in those days, you didn't really have takeaways.
But that's all you want. One of the things I say in my introduction is, all I want really from people when they eat my food is to say, that's delicious. Yes. Well, thanks, pups. Or can you cook that again? Or what's the recipe for that? That's it. I don't want bells and whistles. All I want is people to say that's delicious. And my nana was a cook, and everything she made, I don't know how it was delicious.
Yeah.
It was simple, but it was just delicious.
She did it on a budget, I should imagine.
Well, I dare say she probably did. And it was rural Australia and meat and 2 veg. But I got to say that her mashed potato to this day, she used to do one style of mashed potato where she'd boil the potatoes with an onion in it, and then she'd mash it up with the boiled onion through it. It was just fantastic.
Sounds quite nice, actually.
Yeah, really good. Well, if you think about the Irish champ, which has got spring onions through it, it's just, but, she was a grilled lamb chops lady. She taught me how to make pikelets and jam and scones and all that sort of stuff.
You made pikelets?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nearly every weekend. Little sort of, flat pan and make pikelets are delicious.
So you were doing this from the age of, 16, weren't you?
I was cooking with her at the age of 6.
Right.
Yeah, then I started professionally at 17. But regardless of whether you're professionally cooking or not, when you're working in kitchens, people think that, if you're a chef, you eat in the restaurants. You don't. You're working.
Yes.
And actually, you might snack a little bit. You might grab a slice of bread and chuck a bit of roast pork in it, or a sausage or a bit of bacon, or even chips, make chip butties. But you don't eat very well in professional kitchens.
No.
So what you got to do is learn to cook, at home properly.
And you want to eat different things as well. So when you're cooking for television, this is stuff where you've sat down and said, right, we're going to be doing this, or you watch people cooking, and I'm always terribly impressed by people who can cook. I mean, as I say, because I don't, but only because I can afford not to have to worry about things like that. I'm in a fortunate position, and also I just haven't really got the time to do it.
But it's the same as music, though, isn't it? Not everybody can play the piano. So what's the problem? And if people don't want to cook, I don't have an issue with that. I think, in actual fact, I think it's better that people put their hand up and go, no, I don't want to cook. I don't enjoy it. Then don't do it. If you don't cook, make a reservation. Do you know what I mean? It's really easy, or go to the take. But if you're going to do a takeaway, find a good takeaway, like the guys at the Indian place like Majo's, and find a good place that does good food, and you know that it's homemade or it's it's good quality, because there's nothing wrong with it. We buy ready-made burger patties from the supermarket. Yes. What's the problem with that?
Yes, you're right. You're right.
I like cheap sliced cheese on top of a cheeseburger. I think it's a really, really good thing. I do. I have to admit to you right now, I have a bag of hash browns in my freezer. So when I'm really, really busy, I cook some hash browns and I'll fry an egg, and that's my breakfast. Because I'm going to admit to you, I'm a busy person, like everybody else in the world. I'm not going to lie to you and say, I make everything at home and I grow my own wheat and I crush it and make my own bread. That's complete rubbish.
Yeah. Well, at least you're honest.
You've got to be honest. I
think, you're right, because the moment the public find you out, they go, oh, look, it's like you see people advertising supermarkets, then the next thing they're pictured coming out of another one with a bag, and you think, oh, goodness me, you've been caught out on that. Listen, very quick break, more from John Torode's My Kind of Food after this. Special guest in conversation. It's my kind of food, but it's his kind of food. It's John Torode. The book is out now. It's actually it's a big book as far as books of this kind go, and there aren't many books like this, because mostly they're doing the stuff you see on the TED, all fancy things with sort of can you deep fry this and carrot tops and all the rest of it. We're not doing that. We're just doing food you eat. Food that he cooks at home, things which are easy. I mean, easy. He said, I heard him talking to somebody earlier on. He said, you can do this. You can cook this stuff. But the one thing that we were talking about just during the break is breakfast. Breakfast I love, and he has a lovely cowboy breakfast, all done in the same pan.
Yeah, I've dedicated a whole chapter to breakfast and brunch, and the reason is that as a parent with kids, weekends, of course, I used to love to do Sunday lunch, and I think Sunday lunch is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But as the kids have got older, they've got clubs and they've got rugby and they've got gymnastics and they've got all sorts of things going on. So Sunday is no longer sacrosanct, which is a shame. But we do have a chance in the morning sometimes to actually just stop, and they don't go out the door till 10 o'clock in the morning on the weekends, and that's quite cool. So it means getting up in the morning on a Saturday and a Sunday. It's really nice to spend time with them, to cook with them, to talk to them, catch up with them for the week, and actually do some brekkie. And breakfast for me is a good thing, and I think brunch is even better. Yeah. And if you got mates coming around in there, the first recipe in the chapter for brunch is a Bloody Mary.
Yes. It's a meal in a glass.
It is a meal in a glass. It's got everything you need.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of your 5 a day. Yes. That's for sure. Actually, it's probably 2 of your 5 a day, because the vodka's made of potatoes, so that's 1, and the tomato juice, that's 2.
We're now encouraging early morning drinking, but I have to be honest, if you actually go into a place and you get a good Bloody Mary in a big tall glass, not one of these piddly little things, a proper big tall tumbler with ice and the cucumber and everything, the celery. That's what it is. It's at the front of the book. You can't miss it.
It is. You know what? The thing is, I don't put celery in mine, and the reason
do you not reason?
No, I tell you why. Because it gets in the way of my mouth drinking it. And I think, you know what I mean? The whole thing of, you're drinking a Bloody Mary should be that you're drinking a Bloody Mary. And, if somebody gifts you that first thing in the morning...
Yeah. See, that's a decent-sized glass.
It's a proper... Yeah, and the other thing it needs is ice.
Yeah.
Drink, and there's sort of rules in this book, I suppose, and that is that drinks have got to be cold, and other things got to be hot. But you talk about a Bloody Mary, but there's also a soda bread recipe in there which takes 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's no yeast, there's no mucking around. Paul Hollywood won't be looking over your shoulder, and it just means that and God love him. But it does mean that actually you can make your bread first thing in the morning, and then you can duck off, jump in the shower, the kids can get ready, and then you've got hot bread. Hot soda bread and lashings of butter and a fried egg first thing in the morning is a really good thing.
Yeah, I used to be in Vienna years ago, and the canteen there used to do ham and eggs. But what they used to do, it was quite clever. They just had a frying pan, a little bit of butter, layer the bottom with ham, break the eggs into it, and put the plate over the top. So it acted like a pressure cooker.
Right.
And so when you took the plate off, the place was nice and hot, and you just poured it all out.
That's clever.
Clever idea.
Yeah, steam the eggs at the same time.
Steaming the eggs.
Yeah, really, really good idea.
So it cooks really quickly. The plate, which was cold, is now hot. and you've got a perfect meat. I used to love it. They used to do beautiful rolls over there.
That's going to have to go on my next book.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's ham and eggs, easy style, and because you've steamed it, it tastes even nicer.
I've got green eggs and ham in here.
Green eggs?
Green eggs and ham. You know, like
eggs?
the Dr. Zeus, green eggs and ham.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll have it in a box, not with a fox. No, it's really clever. I had it in Manly with my brother. And my brother had it. And my brother had it, and it literally is eggs with pesto and becomes and sliced ham. Green eggs and ham.
So
and
simple.
It's delicious.
Yes.
Jar of pesto, a couple of eggs, bit of ham, done, sorted.
I like the my chicken pie, but there again, I've always liked a chicken pie.
My chicken pie is pretty cool.
Yeah.
My chicken pie, and I have to say that anybody who's made the chicken pie so far, the calls come in and say, yeah, that one works.
Yeah,
that's great.
Because the one thing that you have to do when you do books like this, and as John knows, is it's got to work. It's no good you taking this book home, ladies and gentlemen, then going, oh, it doesn't work. They all work. They're all tried and tested. His nana knew that. She was doing these years. She even gets a credit in the book, bless her heart.
Well, she does, and so does my dad. My dad's a great cook, but I mean, there's one recipe my dad's in there, which is crumb lamb cutlets. As a kid growing up, lamb cutlets are, they're great, but they are just crumb lamb cutlets. And what happens is that the lamb meat, of course, is tender, but it sort of steams inside this crunchy, crispy bit. So you got crunchy, crispy crumbs on the outside, and you got cooked lamb, and they're just great. But that's my dad. My dad's great. He's a great cook, really good cook.
See, I like that. He also does corn dogs in here.
Oh yes.
I love corn dogs.
They're for the adventurous ones. And what I've tried to do with the book is this. I say it is that I like that if you're a novice that I can sort of help you along a little bit and probably show you a few basics. If you're an adventurous cook, there's stuff in there for you as well. And if you really want to push yourself, there's a couple of recipes in there that can push you. So for instance, there's a savoury donut in there. There's a mushroom donut with horseradish cream in the middle of it. And they take a bit of time, but they're for the people who are the next level up. It's like the difference between singing in the shower and being a chorister. And if you're a chorister, then make the donuts.
Yeah. Or failing that, do the steamed passion fruit and mango pudding with custard.
Oh, yeah.
I'm crackers about mango.
Are you?
Love mango. I've often wanted to find something that incorporated it into a pudding. I had a mango creme brulee once.
Right.
That was quite nice.
Have you ever bought the big tins of mango pulp? They come in big tins like this. They're massive.
Mango juice. I'm diabetic. I'm not supposed to drink it because it's very, very, very sweet and sugary. But I love ice cold mango.
Just good old fashioned mango out the fridge is a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I love anything like that. I mean, I keep thinking it's part of my 5 a day. I'm lying to myself, I think, because I've now put hot dogs into that as well.
They're definitely part of your 5 a day, aren't they? Oh, yeah. Well, the good thing about a dog is a dog's got to go for a walk, which means you've done exercise, so therefore you've had a hot dog. That's fine, isn't it? That's how you work it out.
I can't imagine you eating hot dogs, but having kids, I suppose, you eat hot dogs.
I love them. Do you know when I love them? New York.
Yes,
on the streets of New York. Where the rolls are all soft and warm?
Yes.
The other place you can get those ones like that?
I like the ones that they do in Austria and in Germany where they do the hot dogs and they cut a baguette in half, they push it onto a hot spike, and then they just drop the hot dog sausage into the...
They slide it in, but you put the mustard and the sauce inside first.
Yes.
Oh, they're brilliant, aren't they?
Delicious.
But that Swedish flat pack store... IKEA.
Oh yes, that one.
They do hot dogs.
Do they?
Oh yeah, they're really
they just
cool.
did meatballs.
No, they do hot dogs and they're really, really good. And the other place that does the Delaunay, if you want a posh hot dog, the Delaunay on the Aldwych.
Yes.
There's a little Viennese cafe there, and go in there. I'll tell you, this is the cheapest lunch in the whole world. A bottle of sparkling water and a hot dog from there is about £6.50.
Really?
And it's the best hot dog in London.
The best ones I've ever had were in Austria, and it was that Käsewurst, which is the hot dog with the cheese impregnated in it. And have you never heard of that?
No.
Your life will change. I promise you. Käsewurst, they're called. You can buy them
It's
here.
a sausage with cheese in it.
It's a sausage with cheese in it.
Oh, man,
and they sell them at the Winter Wonderland Fair at Hyde Park, because they have a German market there in a fair. They do these, and they're big, thick sausages, and the cheese is impregnated all the way through. I promise you would kill for this.
Oh my goodness!
Kill for They're absolutely the best thing ever.
That sounds fantastic.
And you just have them by themselves, and then you think perhaps I should have a second.
I might have to buy a whole packet.
It's cheese impregnated in sausage. It's one of the best things. Nearly as good as mango, as far as I'm concerned.
That's great.
You see, I've educated you. I didn't think I'd ever be telling you a food.
About that. No, I think that's really exciting.
You in particular would absolutely love it. If you like corn dogs, you like all these, you would love this.
Yeah, people don't really understand corn dogs, but in Australia, when I was growing up as a kid, they were called Pluto Pups.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's a hot dog in a corn batter, and then what you do is put it on a stick, and then you dip it in tomato sauce. But it's not tomato
Delish.
ketchup, tomato sauce. Where I come from.
It's tomato sauce. Oh, it is ketchup.
Yeah,
you just
ketchup.
call it
We
sauce.
call it tomato sauce.
Right.
Tomato sauce, and shake and shake and shake. The bottle, none will come, and then a lot'll.
Yes, right. Yes, you.
Yeah.
And then
That's
all
it,
of a
yeah,
sudden you're
yeah.
covered. The plate is covered
Go on.
with it. But is it all right to have things like this? Oh, we've got jam donuts in here. Panna cotta with stewed rhubarb. A good staple thing that was inexpensive for our parents to buy. My mother used to make loads of it and freeze it.
Yeah.
When I used to go round, she'd say, take some trays with you. So I'd go home with about 6 of these trays of stewed rhubarb.
Fantastic.
Delicious.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like the breakfast one. There's one for stewed plums in there, and you make loads of them. Don't be apologetic about it. Make a big tub of them and put them in the fridge. They'll last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They will last 2 weeks in the fridge, and just every time you want them, your granola, which you can make out of there. My granola is really, really cool.
Yeah.
You make your granola, you take your stewed plums, and that's it. And nothing better than a couple of plums for breakfast, is there?
I knew you. Do you know, why did I see that one coming a mile off? I thought, let's signpost it. No, let's not signpost it at all. So when did they approach you to do this book, John? Or did you say, listen, there's so many different books on the market. There's a plethora of cookery books, as you know, baking and this and that. But nobody's ever done this is what I eat at home. This is what I call simple. I know it sounds dreadful to say simple food, but you know what I mean. It's food that you grew up with.
I think that there's people who are doing books of what they would call home cooking, but this is really what I don't know if there is anything like this, but this is actually really the food that I grew up with and what I really do. And and stuff, as I say, there's bits in there which are really simple, and there's stuff in there which is so also complicated. But there's not a lot of really complicated stuff in there. There's only a couple. But one of the things that I found when I was, I look at books, is that you pick up a book and you think it looks really easy, and then you've got all the bits and pieces, you've got all the ingredients, and you sit there, and then it says, as you sort of finish process number 16, it says, now leave overnight. And you're like, no, I need it tonight, I need it now, no,
Didn't read that bit.
No. So I've done a chapter called Leave Overnight, because I just found it really frustrating.
Yeah.
And so there's 3 recipes in Leave It Overnight, and they're long and they're hard and they're big, but you know what? It says it, leave overnight. It's going to take you 24 hours to make, and because they're inspired by the restaurant world. Because I find nothing more frustrating than something that says, oh, and now leave it overnight. What? No.
No, please.
No, please.
Yeah.
I opened the book because I want to cook food because I'm hungry.
Yes.
Not because I want to, show off tonight. It's because I'm hungry now. I want to eat something. And that's what this book's about. It's about, I want to eat something, tonight.
I want to go baked eggs, spinach and ham. Okay, that'll sort me out quite nicely. You can then go to the Winter Wonderland and get Käsewurst.
Yes, I'm going to go and get Käsewurst.
Once you've tried it, you're going to absolutely adore it. I know you are.
And the other thing about it, and I'm really, really excited about, is that the guys who have published it for me, Headline, have been really generous with the book in the fact that they've put loads and loads of photos in there.
Yeah.
And it smells good. It smells of really good paper. The photos are inspiring. There's lots and lots and lots of them. I mean, the rendang.
Who's the bloke on the front of the book?
I don't know who he is. Some
who is
ugly,
that?
ugly git. My beef rendang recipe actually takes up 6 pages, and it takes up 6 pages not because the recipe itself takes up 1. The rest of it's all pictures. And the reason is because when you make a rendang, is that it takes a few processes,
Yeah.
and what happens is people don't cook it long enough. So there's 2 pages dedicated to saying it's not quite right.
That's right. And then there's just right.
Just right, yeah. Because I think people see from looking, you can't write that sort of stuff down.
No.
And I know, as we were doing the book and doing the photography and working through it, the publisher was really generous, saying, that makes great sense. Let's just let everybody really see what you mean, rather than necessarily try to explain it by words.
Good stuff. John Torode, My Kind of Food, published now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it took a very long time to, when they say gestation, because I'd never, ever contemplated writing the young Jane Tennyson. And it's very difficult when you have an iconic actor.